Hi, everybody. Jay Dawson. And I'd like to talk to you a little bit about my new Fanfare, my latest piece for concert band. I started writing Fanfare on an airplane, and I have a real hard time getting a new piece of music started. But this was a transatlantic flight, and obviously I had a lot of time on my hands. And when we reached cruising altitude, the ideas started flowing. By the time we landed, I must have had half the piece written. And it doesn't always happen like that. I was so grateful to get the piece off the ground so easily. It's about 2 minutes and 15 seconds. And instrumentation wise, it's pretty standard. There are only 2 French horn parts instead of 4. But the percussion section is relatively large. I think you could put about 8 to 10 students to work back there in the percussion section, which is always great for concert band. In terms of the composition of the piece, I always love to share certain details with students. From a harmonic standpoint, the piece sounds fairly modern, fairly contemporary, and the reason for that is it's a polytonal piece to a great extent. If you take a look at the first 5, 6 bars, you'll see that the lower voices are playing in distinctly one key and the upper voices are playing in another. Now the 2 keys are related, but they are different, and I mentioned that not only to illuminate how the piece was constructed, but also to suggest how the piece might be rehearsed. And that is to say that each choir, the low voices versus the upper voices, can be rehearsed separately and really refined, and then the piece will just really sound terrific. Melodically, I always like to work with as few elements as possible, and I like to take those and manipulate them and vary them and embellish them and so forth. But I think that I really admire pieces that are written with very few ingredients. My particular sequence of notes, 5, 1, 2, 5, sharp 4, 2, 3. That's the melody of the middle of the piece. But if you look again at the first few bars, you'll see that same melody in a kind of different rhythmic configuration with all of this exotic harmony going on. And you'll recognize that that is basically the same sequence of notes. So I think it's interesting to point these things out to students. I think the piece is probably medium difficulty. There's nothing really technically difficult or range-wise difficult about any part. And I think the piece would be really appropriate as a warm-up number for festival or as an opening number for almost any concert. I want to close by giving a great deal of thanks to the Middle Tennessee School Band and Orchestra Association for commissioning the piece and for giving me the distinct honor of conducting the premiere. I hope you like Fanfare, and I hope you'll play it.